Hi, Kendra here from Sarasota Rapid Resolution Therapy. I know it's been several months since I've made a video. I've been super busy with the nonprofit, which is moving ahead in extraordinary ways, but I felt compelled to make a video. And yes, it's Sunday, but I've spent all day in the office. I was meeting with a young woman who had recently experienced a sexual trauma. And now the reason that I wanted to make this video is because the experience that she had in RRT is so profound and caused such a dramatic impact compared to what she had been going through. She was going through CPT, cognitive processing therapy, which is one of the typical treatments that you do for somebody who has trauma. But the thing about that is every week she was having to relive the trauma with her therapist and talk about it and describe it. And she noticed that she wasn't having any improvement. It was very painful to do. And she was having these emotional reactions, a PTSD response to different events. She couldn't go to school, she couldn't go out in public. So thankfully we got to meet for RRT. At the beginning of session, she was experiencing anger, guilt, fear, resentment, self-worth, self-image issues because of the event, and we were able to address and clear all of that today. So we spent a couple hours before lunch and cleared the traumatic event, and I had her go back and I say, okay, now think back on that then. Try to bring up the anger, try to bring up the fear. And she couldn't do it. And then after lunch we met and spent a couple more hours together, and we were able to then address the guilt and the resentment, and she was actually able afterwards to feel compassion for this guy. I mean, very different from anger. And she was saying his name while laughing. And she said, I haven't been able to say his name this much, let alone laugh during it. And so even with the guilt, I said, well, you could have done something better then. And she goes, that's ridiculous. I couldn't have done anything different. And I said, well, what is there to do about that event? And she said, nothing. I said, what about that guy? And she said, done with that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Done with that. Nothing to do. That right there clears it. Because of the RRT processes that we go through, she has a very different response to those things than before when she first came in. And with that, there's no more painful emotions. It just clears, and she's able to move forward into all of these really amazing things that she's doing despite what had happened, which is really unbelievable. And she was actually able to realize that she has everything she needs. She was able to tap into that strength, that resilience, and notice that power that she has inside of her, that she's always had inside of her, and that she'll always have. And so with that, she was able to take that and move forward from here. So, I mean, those are very different responses rather than having to describe the event in detail with a therapist. I didn't have to listen to one detail, and she didn't have to describe any details. I mean, how amazing is that? And still got to address and clear it. So there's no reason that you have to sit in therapy and talk about painful events of the past and go into detail about them, because we want to leave the past in the past, and we want to no longer be attached to the past, specifically emotionally. So let's clear those emotional reactions to the past so you can be present and free of that and moving forward in extraordinary ways, because that is the beauty of RRT.